steady pulse of water hitting stone. My coffee's growing cold beside the sheet. I'm tracing every line while all alone. The dusty light is fading in the hall. The ink begins to wander on the page. I listen to the shadows on the wall and lose the heavy burden of my age. Let the gray clouds hang above the roof. The clock is ticking slower than the mind. I do not need a witness or a proof for all the quiet answers that I find. The silver needle stitch the afternoon. The world is kept outside the bolted door. I'll find my way beneath the rainy moon and leave the restless static on the floor. The wood is creaking underneath my chair. The scent of ancient paper fills the room. A sudden stillness hanging in the air, like flowers trying hard to start to bloom. The letters shift and form a different map, leading to a place I used to know. The thunder gives a soft and distant tap, while watching how the heavy gutters flow. The stillness is a weight I wanna hold, a secret kept between the sky and ground. The stories that the falling droplets told are louder than the silence I have found. Let the gray clouds hang above the roof. The clock is ticking slower on the mind. I do not need a witness or a proof for all the quiet answers that I find. A silver needle stitch the afternoon. The world is kept outside the bolted door. I'll find my way beneath the rainy moon and leave the restless static on the floor. Oh, cassette tape spinning slow in the deck. Heavy denim jacket hanging loose on my neck. Static on the screen before the morning show starts. Graffiti on the brick hiding tired young hearts. Concrete is cooling as the sun slips away. Just another shadow at the end of the day. Skateboard wheels clicking over sidewalk cracks. Walking to the corner with the bags on our backs. Penthouse dreams but the pockets stay light. Chasing down a feeling in the middle of the night. Dust on the lenses of the old Polaroid, filling up the silence of a beautiful void. The clock on the wall has a mind of its own, waiting for a ring on the cord of the phone. Nobody is rushing to get anywhere fast, drinking every minute like it's going to last. Golden hour haze in a cardboard box. Listen to the wind as the hallway locks. Keep the volume low, let the frequency drift. Finding every secret of the temporal shift. The easy state of mind when the world turns gray. Stay it in my pocket while we drift away. Paperback pages turning soft at the edge. Watching all the pigeons on a window ledge. Loose leaf paper filled with ink and regret. Some things are over but they haven't left yet. Paper from the coffee rising up to the roof. Searching for the magic but I don't need the proof. The clock on the wall has a mind of its own, waiting for a ring on the cord of the phone. Nobody is rushing to get anywhere fast, drinking every minute like it's going to last. Golden hour haze in a cardboard box. Listen to the wind as the hallway volume low, let the frequency drift. Finding every secret in a temporal shift. Easy state of mind when the world turns gray. Staying in the pocket while we drift away.
Whole cassette tape spins in a plastic shell. The hum of the fridge tells a story I know well. Cracked pavement patterns beneath my worn out shoes. I'm drifting through the static and the morning blues. Yeah. Sun layers the dust motes dancing in the air. I'm sitting on the porch with no particular prayer. Yeah, found a nickel in the pocket of my faded denim jacket. The world is outside making such a heavy racket, but here the coffee cools in a ceramic white cup. I'm watching the horizon as the neighborhood wakes up. A neighbor's golden retriever barks at a passing car. The distance feels close, yet everything feels far. Take the long way home through the alleyway shortcuts. Kind of day that settles deep inside your bones and guts. No need to hurry when my clock has lost its gears. Just a steady movement of the passing of the years. It's a grainy picture colored in a muted shade of gray. Finding all the magic in a standard Tuesday. The radiator whistles a tune from a different age. Turn another leaf in a book with a yellowed page. Smoke rises thin from a chimney down the street. The pavement holds the ghost of the summer's heavy heat. I remember the smell of the rain on the hot concrete. Before the city felt like it was tangled in deceit. Yeah. Vinyl rules are scratching, but the melody is clear. A frequency that only a lonely heart can hear. Thrift store sweaters keeping out the autumn chill. The wind is moving shadows across the windowsill. I'm counting all the seconds by the dripping of the tap. The whole wide universe is resting in my lap. The clouds are moving heavy like they're filled with liquid lead. All the things I should have done in words I never said. They don't matter much when the light begins to fade. In this quiet corner that the afternoon has made. Yeah, yeah. Take the long way home through the alleyway shortcuts. The kind of day that settles deep inside your bones and guts. Yeah. No need to hurry when the clock has lost its gears. Just the steady movement of the passing of the years. It's a brainy picture colored in a muted shade of gray. Finding all the magic in a standard Tuesday. Take the long way home through the alleyway shortcuts. The kind of day that settles deep inside your bones and guts. No need to hurry when the clock has lost its gears. Just the steady movement of the passing of the years. It's a brainy picture colored in a muted shade of gray. Finding all the magic in a standard Tuesday. Old cassette tape stacked against the peeling wall. Dust settles on the wood of the silent hallway. The radio hums a low frequency through the rain. Static landing with the coffee steam again. I find a photograph folded inside a dusty book, capturing a glance that we both misunderstood. The clock hands drag across the afternoon sun, counting every single thing we have left undone.
Golden light filters through the Venetian blinds. Patterns on the floor reflect our tangled minds. The neighborhood is quiet under a velvet weight, watching the seasons change outside the gate. Slow motion drifting through the hazy afternoon, listening to the hum of a distant out of tune. Memories moving like shadows on brick, light in the match matches until we burn down the way. Hold on to the feeling of the heavy, humid air, finding all the answers that were never really there. Just a steady ocean in a world that never wakes, living in the gaps between the accidental breaks. Slow motion drifting through the hazy afternoon, listening to the hum of a distant out of tune. Memories moving like shadows on a brick, lighting the matches until we burn down the wick. Hold on to the feeling of the heavy, humid air, finding all the answers that were never really there. Just a steady motion in a world that never wakes, living in the gaps between the accidental breaks.
Cracked sidewalk, mirrors are gray across the sky, watching a rusted bicycle just rolling by. Vinyl records spin a story of a simpler age, ink smudges drying on a yellow paper page. The wind carries a scent of cedar and old stone, walking these familiar streets entirely alone. But the comfort of the boredom feels like home, underneath the massive reach of the city dome. Color light filters through the Venetian blinds, patterns on the floor reflect our tangled minds. The neighborhood is quiet under a velvet weight, watching the seasons change outside the cage. Slow motion drifting through the hazy afternoon, listening to the hum of a distant out of tune. Memories moving like shadows on the gray, lighting the matches until we burn down the way. Hold on to the tuning of the heavy, humid air, finding all the answers that were never really there. Just a steady motion in a world that never wait, living in the gaps between the accidental. Slow motion drifting through the hazy afternoon, listening to the hum of a distant out of tune. Memories moving like shadows on the gray, lighting the matches until we burn down the way. Hold on to the feeling of the heavy, humid air. Old cassette tapes tangled in the plastic dead, dusty sunlight dancing on a cracked window pane. Found a silver coin hidden in a denim jacket, watching raindrops race across the subway train. No one's checking clocks on a Sunday afternoon, just a static humming from the heavy wooden box. Steam rising slowly from a porcelain spoon, walking down the street in mismatched socks.
The bookstore smells like aging paper and glue, graffiti on the brick wall fading into gray, bicycles leaning where the ivy grew, tracing shadows until the light slips away. Pockets full of gum wrappers and loose change, humming melodies that don't have a name. Everything familiar feels a little bit strange. Nothing stays still, but it all feels the same. Slow down the motion of the spinning world, let the grainy film capture every breath. In the quiet corners where the smoke is curled, we are finding life underneath the depth. Easy transitions in the sepia frame, holding on to moments before they pass. Nobody is praying for the fortune or frame, just watching the hour turn inside the glass.
sounds like a muffled drum beyond the alley where the neighbors talk, waiting for the evening stars to come, tracing out the lines with a piece of chalk. No signals reaching through the heavy air, just the honest pulse of a beating heart, finding all the beauty in the wear and tear. Every single ending is a brand new start. Headphones tight against the cold evening breeze, neon signs flickering in a broken beat, wind blowing softly through the maple trees, counting every crack on the concrete street. The moon is a sliver of a golden plate, hanging over rooftops in the purple haze, learning how to wander in the simply way, getting lost inside of the velvet maze. Slow down the motion of the spinning world, let the grainy film capture every breath. You my quiet corners where the smoke is curled, me I finding light underneath the deck. Easy transitions in a sepia frame, holding on the moments before they pass. Nobody is playing for the fortune or fame, just watching the hour turn inside the glass. Slow down the motion of the spinning world, let the grainy film capture every breath. In the quiet corners where the smoke is curled, we are finding light underneath the deck. Easy transitions in a sepia frame, holding on to moments before they pass. Nobody is playing for the fortune or fame, just watching the hour turn inside the glass.
Cassette tapes winding slow on the floor, dusty windows overlooking the corner store, static hush humming through the heavy air. I left my keys and my worries right there. The radiator clicks a syncopated beat while shadows stretch across the empty street. Copper sunlight fading on the brickwork wall, waiting for a phantom ringside call. The coffee's cold but the spirit stays warm, a quiet refuge from the gathering storm. Everything moves at a deliberate pace, tracing lines upon a familiar face. Golden hours turning into velvet gray, watching all the minutes drift away. No need to rush where the sidewalk ends, finding comfort in the way the willow bends. Just a steady pulse in a restless town, turning on the frantic volume down. Dog-eared pages of a magazine I read, keeping all those vintage dreams inside my head. Baggy sweaters and the smell of autumn rain, washing out the residue of every stain. The skyline looks like a hand-drawn sketch, further than my fingertips can reach or stretch. Cracked vinyl spinning on a wooden deck, a silver chain hanging loose around my neck. The coffee's cold but the spirit stays warm, a quiet refuge from the gathering storm. Everything moves at a deliberate pace, tracing lines upon a familiar face. Golden hours turning into velvet gray, watching all the minutes drift away. No need to rush where the sidewalk ends, finding comfort in the lay the willow bends. Just a steady pulse in a restless town, turning frantic, volume down. Golden hours turning into velvet gray. Watching all the minutes drift away. No need to rush where the sidewalk ends. Finding comfort in the way the willow bends. Just a steady pulse in a restless town. Turning all the frantic volume down. Steady crackles on the heavy black disc. Dust settles where the memories rest. Coffee steam rising in a vertical line, tracing patterns of a different time. Overhead wires humming low and sweet. Concrete pulsing beneath weary feet. Cassette tape tangled in a plastic shell. Stories that the worn out ribbons tell. Denim jacket stained with ink and rain. Blending bridges over silent pain. Morning sunlight through a broken blind, leaving all the heavy thoughts behind. Golden hours drifting slow and wide, turning with the changing of the tide. Simple moments caught within the frame. Nothing stays the same but the name. Floating on a frequency of gold, watching all the mysteries unfold. Corner shop closing as the shadows grow, walking paths that only locals know. Faded posters peeling off the brick, candle burning down to a glowing wick. Paperback pages turning in a breeze, finding comfort in the sudden ease. Telephone ringing in an empty hall, shadows dancing on a painted wall. Vinyl spinning on a steady wheel, touching everything we used to feel. Loose smoke curling in the quiet air, finding beauty in the stillness there. Golden hours drifting slow and yet turning with the changing of the tide. Simple moments caught within the frame. Nothing stays the same but the name. Floating on a frequency of gold, watching all the mysteries unfold. Static kiss on the cassette tape deck. The sun leans heavy on the brick walls. Oh, sneakers hanging from the power lines. Gold light filtering through the dust clouds. Time slows down to a steady crawl in the hazy glow of the afternoon. Coffee rings on the velvet sofa, flipping through the pins at the record store. A baggy flannel for the autumn chill, watching shadows stretch across the floor. The scent of rain on the heated pavement, cracked windows letting in the distant hum of a city breathing in a different pace before the digital ghost had even come. Static case on the cassette tape deck. The sun leans heavy on the brick walls. Oh, sneakers hanging from the power lines. Gold light filtering through the dust clouds. Time slows down to a steady crawl in the hazy glow of the afternoon. Pages buzzing on a wooden table, Polaroids fading in a cardboard box. Drawing maps on the back of napkins, turning keys in the heavy iron locks. There is no rush to find the ending, just the scratchy sound of a needlehead. One wandering through the quiet avenues in the silver thread of a dream unsaid. Kiss on a cassette tape deck. The sun leans heavy on the brick wall. Old sneakers hanging from the power lines. Gold light filtering through the dust clouds. Time slows down to a steady crawl in the hazy glow of the afternoon. Static kiss on a cassette tape deck. The sun leans heavy on the brick wall. Old sneakers hanging from the power lines. Gold light filtering through the dust clouds. Time slows down to a steady crawl in the hazy glow of the afternoon.
Static hiss on the magnetic tape. Clouds drifting low across the fire escape. Spinning wheels keep the dust alive. Finding peace in the slow drive. Windows crack to the evening air. Leaving all the heavyweights somewhere out there. Warm glow of the dial on the radio deck. Loose threads hanging off a flannel neck. Found a shoebox filled with Polaroids in time. Staring at the sunlight in its golden prime. No rush to the finish, no race to the sun. Just a feeling that the day has finally begun. To settle down in the grooves of the floor. Walking through the frame of an open door. Static hiss on the magnetic tape. Crowds drifting low across the fire escape. Spinning wheels keep the dust alive. Finding peace in the slow drive. Windows crack to the evening air. Loving all the heavyweights somewhere out there. Yeah, the sound of the needle hitting the black. No reason to look over my shoulder or back. Concrete softened by the cooling shade. Watching how the colors start to bleed and fade. Coffee sitting cold in a ceramic cup. Waiting for the stars to start showing up. Simple chords ringing out in the hallway space. Finding my own step at a steady pace. Static hiss on the magnetic tape. Clouds drifting low across the fire escape. Spinning wheels keep the dust alive. Finding peace in the slow drive. Windows track to the evening air. Leaving all the heavyweights somewhere out there. Static hiss on the magnetic tape. Clouds drifting low across the fire escape. Steering wheels keep the dove alive. Finding peace in the slow drive. Windows crack to the evening air. Leaving all the heavyweights somewhere out there.
Static hum on the heavy air. The radiator hisses like a secret shared. Loose threads on a flannel sleeve. Nothing left to prove and no reason to leave. Vinyl spinning at a slower pace. Dust motes dancing in a narrow space. Coffee cold in a chipped ceramic mug. Wrapped in the warmth of a faded rug. Cassette tapes piled on the floor, shadows stretching past the bedroom door. The television flickers in black and gray, watching the skyline wash away. No clock ticking on the whitewashed wall, just the muffled sound of a distant call. Everything heavy and everything light, holding the edges of the coming night. Take it slow while the world turns loud, head drifting high in a charcoal cloud. Simple patterns in the wood grain floor, not looking for a key or an open door. Let the minutes melt into a velvet blur, safe in the way that we once were. Just a steady pulse and a quiet frame. The city lights forget your name. Take it slow while the world turns loud, head drifting high in a charcoal cloud. Simple patterns in a wood grain floor, not looking for a key or an open door. Let the minutes melt into a velvet blur, safe in the way that we once were. Just a steady pulse and a quiet frame. The city lights forget your name. Grainy film in a tired mind, leaving the jagged days behind. Soft focus on the window pane, listen for the cadence of the rain. Soft focus on the window pane, listen for the cadence of the rain. Snacks in the basement smell, stories that we never had to tell. Street lamps glowing like amber beads, planting the silence like tiny seeds. The dial is stuck on a frequency between what is and what used to be. Breath coming easy in a cooler room, a golden haze amidst the gloom. Take it slow while the world turns out, head drifting high in a charcoal cloud. Simple patterns in the wood grain floor, now learn for a key or an open door. Let the minutes melt into a velvet blur, safe in the way that we once were. Just a steady pulse and a quiet frame. The city lights forget your name. Take it slow while the world turns out, head drifting high in a charcoal cloud. Simple patterns in the wood grain floor, not looking for a key or an open door. Let the minutes melt into a velvet blur, safe in the way that we once were. Just a steady pulse and a quiet frame. The city lights forget your name.
Static hum on the heavy air, dust smoke stands around a wooden chair. The cassette spins a wobbly line, traced in markers from a distant time. Soles are worn on the pavement stone, walking blocks just to feel alone. Headphones clamped like a holy seal, filtering out everything that isn't real. The radiator clanks a rusty beat above the chatter of the evening street. Old magazines with the edges torn, watching colors fade since they were born. Loose change jingles in a denim fold, stories traded but never truly told. Cup of coffee getting cold and gray, watching the lights slowly slip away. Golden hours caught in a grain of sand, sifting through the lines upon my head. Visions blurring at the corner of the eye, underneath the pale and washed out sky. No one's looking for a grand design, just a steady pulse along the wire line. Let the needle find the hidden groove, wait for the world to make its move, yeah. Graffiti ghosts on the brick and tile, stay behind for a little while. The subway grumbles in the belly of the ground, the heavy silence in the city of sound. Yeah. Windows open to the humid night, chasing shadows of a passing light. A tangled cord and a broken latch, striking fire from a single match. Thrift store flannel and a worn out soul, trying to find a way to stay whole. The clock is ticking, but the hands are slow, wondering where the restless people go. Curbside dreams in a cardboard box, turning keys in some rusted locks. The past is breathing down the hallway hall, writing names upon a crumbling wall. Yeah, yeah. The air gets thick with the smell of rain, washing the grease from the window pane. Turn the volume up just a little more, leave the worries by the heavy door. Golden hours caught in a grain of sand, sifting out the lines upon my hand. Visions blurring at the corner of the eye, underneath the pale and washed out sky. No one's looking for grand design, just a steady pulse along the wire line. Let the needle find a hidden groove, wait for the world to make its move, yeah. Golden hours caught in a grain of sand, sifting through the lines upon my hand. Visions blurring at the corner of the eye, underneath the pale and washed out sky. No one's looking for a grand design, just a steady pulse along the wire line. Let the needle find the hidden groove, yeah.
Static calm on the local wire, sifting through a box of tape and dust. Concrete baking in the fading fire, before the iron turned to orange rust. Hands moving slow across the dial, chasing a frequency that feels like home. I can stay right here for a little while, watching shadows stretch across the chrome. The Walkman eats a battery light from muffled bass line thumping through the wall, cutting through the day like a butter knife, waiting for a midnight collect call. Graffiti bleeding on the transit lap, the city breathes a heavy human sigh. Head resting in a velvet lap while the satellite creeps across the sky. Take the long way around the block, let the needle skip the heavy part. I am untied from the ticking clock, with a steady pulse inside my heart. Everything is blurred around the edge, soft as linen hanging on the line. Sitting on a brick and mortar ledge, just to watch the sun begin to decline. Magazines stacked up on the floor, color palettes fade into gray. I don't look for answers anymore in the noise that felt the yesterday. Pages vibrating on the wooden shelf, a world that stayed within a certain frame. I was getting to know a younger self before the digital took away the name. Take the long way around the block, let the needy skip the heavy part. I am untied from the ticking clock, with a steady pulse inside my heart. Everything is blurred around the edge, soft as linen hanging on the line. Sitting on a brick and mortar ledge, just to watch the sun begin to decline. Skip the heavy part. I am untied from the ticking clock, with a steady pulse inside my heart. Everything is blurred on the edge, soft as linen hanging on the line. Sitting on the brick and mortar ledge, just to watch the sun begin to decline. Sun begin to decline. against the window pane. Coffee circles on a wooden desk. Desmos dancing in the yellow light. Yesterday is just a blur of gray. Cassette tapes piled in a plastic crate. Ink is bleeding through the spiral bound. Calculus and half-eaten apples, waiting for the clock to lose its gears. The city breathes in muffled tones beneath the weight of heavy clouds. The needle finds the inner groove where time begins to slow its pace. Low frequency for high-strung mind. A gentle drift through magnetic tape. The world outside is spinning fast, but here the stillness stays awake. Denim jackets down across the bed. Sketches of a life not lived as yet. The radiator clinks a steady beat, while shadows stretch across the floor. Graph paper filled with aimless lines, searching for a truth in tangled knots. Pencil sharpened to a needle point, drawing maps to places out of reach. The city prays in muffled tones beneath the weight of heavy clouds. The needle finds the inner groove where time begins to slow its pace. Low frequency for high-strung minds. A gentle drift through magnetic tape. The world outside is spinning fast, but here the stillness stays awake. Low frequency for high-strung minds. A gentle drift through magnetic tape. The world outside is spinning fast, but here the stillness stays awake.
Static comes from the heavy plastic box. Dust settles on the jackets of old tracks. Watching the shadows stretch across the floorboards as the afternoon dissolves into the cracks. The ceiling fan spins a lazy rotation, measuring moments that we used to borrow, looking for a familiar frequency that hasn't been reclaimed by tomorrow. There is a way in the stillness, a comfort found in the gray, waiting for the needle to drop and sweep the city noise away. Slow motion drifting through the haze, finding pieces of the lost decades. Low fidelity and high resolution dreams, washing over everything it seems. The hiss between the melody stays, and these gold and copper colored days. Concrete keeps the warmth of a faded sun. Skateboard wheels clicking on the pavement seam. Graffiti murals fading under layers of rain, capturing the logic of our teenage schemes. No flashing lights to fracture the focus, just a steady pulse of a heart at rest, keeping every secret tucked inside a sleep, putting all the heavy thoughts to the test. There is a weight in the stillness, waiting for the needle could drop and sweep the city noise away. Slow motion drifting through the haze, finding pieces of the lost decades. Low fidelity and high revolution dreams, washing over everything it seems. The hits between the melody stays in these gold and copper colored days. Maybe the clarity was always overrated. The blurred edges make the picture whole. Let the tape stretch until the pitch bends deep into the fibers of the soul. Slow motion drifting through the haze, finding pieces of the lost decades. Low fidelity and high resolution dreams, washing over everything it seems. The hits between the melody sways in these gold and copper holidays. Slow motion drifting through the haze, finding pieces of the lost decades. Low fidelity and high resolution dreams, washing over everything it seems. The hits between the melody stays in these gold and copper holidays.
Static comes from a thick black box. Tapes are spinning inside the locks. The window pane is a blur of gray. Another afternoon fades away. My pens are scattered across the floor. I don't look at the clock no more. Just a scratching of the graphite lead and the heavy thoughts inside my head. The rain hits the glass like a soft drawn skin. I let the cold air settle in. The ink is drying on the white line page while I am acting out my quiet age. Slow down the motion of the afternoon, watching the dust dance to a crooked tune. Keep your mind on the winding track. There is no reason to be looking back. Just a low frequency for the soul, making the broken pieces feel whole. A stack of books with the corners bent, wondering where all the hours went. The radiator clicks a metal beat, keeping a distance from the street. I see the neighbors moving like shadows now, tracing the wrinkles on a tired brow. But here in the corner of the attic glide, everything feels alright. The rain is the glass like a soft drum skin. I let the cold air settle in. The ink is drying on the white line page while I am acting out my quiet age. Slow down the motion of the afternoon, watching the dust dance to a crooked tune. Keep your mind on the winding track. There is no reason to be looking back. Just a low frequency for the soul, making the broken pieces feel whole. They say the world is a spinning wheel, that it does not care how you really feel. But if you find a gap in the gears, you can hide away for 1,000 years in the crackle of the worn out groove, where nothing else is left to prove. Slow down the motion of the afternoon, watching the dust dance to a crooked tune. Keep your mind on the winding track. There is no reason to be looking back. Just a low frequency for the soul, making the broken pieces feel whole. Slow down the motion of the afternoon, watching the dust and
turns to a crooked tune. Keep your mind on the winding track. There's no reason to be looking back. Just a low frequency for the soul. Static comes on a tape deck spinning slow. Dust on the windowsill catches the gold. The neighborhood breathes in a steady flow. Street lights flickering like stories untold. I found a photograph in a cardboard box, a snapshot of shadows and faded clocks. Walking barefoot where the sidewalk ends, where the summer heat and the city blends.
Potholes filled with the morning rain, a bicycle leaning against the train. No clocks ticking on the kitchen wall, just the gravity of the leaves that fall.
I remember the weight of a heavy key, the way the wind felt so wild and free.
Coffee brewing in a ceramic pot, giving thanks for the little that we got. Take the long way through the gravel road, leave behind the heavy, heavy load. There is a secret in the silent air, a gentle feeling floating everywhere. Stay drifting in the mellow light before the day turns into the night. Just a moment caught in a velvet frame, knowing everything but the season's name.
Handwritten letters stacked on the floor, searching for a sound I heard before. The radio plays a soul guitar, wishing on a plane thinking it's a star.
Vinyl scratching at the edge of the groove, watching the clouds and the way they move. No need to rush where the river goes, everything happens as the garden grows.
Old sneakers tied to the power line, the smell of the cedar and the mountain pine. And deck of cards spread across the rug, the simple comfort of a morning mug. Patterns dancing on the ceiling tiles, measuring the day by the easy smiles. Let the frequency find its own way home, through the valley where the buffalo rolls.
Take the long way through the gravel road, leave behind the heavy, heavy load. There is a secret in the silent air, a gentle feeling floating everywhere. Stay drifting in the mellow light before the day turns into the night. Just a moment caught in a velvet frame, knowing everything but the season's name.
Static comes on the cassette deck spinning slow. Dusty sunlight patterns dancing on the floor. Found a box of Polaroids in the attic shade, tracing outlines of the promises we made. Coffee cooling in a ceramic chip blue cup, watching morning traffic waking city up. Baggy sweaters hanging heavy on my frame, quiet rooms that used to shout your every name. A needle drops on a record, one thing, letting all the golden memories crawling. No need to rush the clock upon the wall, just letting shadows stretch along the hall. Easy living in a haze of amber light, everything is soft and out of sight. Drifting through the cupboards of the mind, leaving all the heavy weight behind. Gentle waves of sound are pulling me underneath the calm and silent sea. Nothing left to prove or to explain, listening to the rhythm of the rain. Everything is soft and out of sight, drifting through the suburbs of the mind, leaving all the heavy weight behind. Gentle waves of sound are pulling me underneath the calm inside the sea. Nothing left to prove or to explain. Listen to the rhythm of the rain. Graffiti faded on the brickwork down the street, walking nowhere on these tired, heavy feet. Yellow pages of a book I never read, thinking of the words that we had never said. Pizza boxes stacked beside the stereo, wondering where the summer hours used to go. TV snow is flickering in black and white, waiting for the stars to settle in the night. The needle drops on a record, won't fit, letting all the golden memories crawl in. No need to rush the clock upon the wall, just letting shadows stretch along the hall. Easy listening in a haze of amber light, everything is soft and out of sight, drifting to the suburbs of the mind, leaving on a heavy weight behind. Gentle waves of sound are pulling me underneath the calm inside the sea. Nothing left to prove or to explain, listen to the rhythm of the rain. Easy living in a haze of amber light, everything is soft and out of sight, drifting to the suburbs of the mind, leaving all the heavy weight behind. Gentle waves of sound are pulling me underneath the calm inside the sea. Nothing left to prove or to explain, listen to the rhythm of the rain.
Static on the radio dial, finding a frequency. Old sneakers scuffing the concrete by the driveway. The cassette tape drags just a little bit. Warm sunlight stretching across the linoleum floor. No messages waiting on the machine today, just the hum of the fridge in the kitchen corner. Golden hours drifting into indigo. Yesterday is leaning on my shoulder. Nothing to chase and nowhere to arrive. The air tastes like summer rain and dust. Simple chords moving through the open window. Everything is exactly where it belongs. Clouds moving slow above the power line. Shadows getting longer on the brick wall. Keep the dial right there between the noise, finding clarity in the blurred edges. Time is a record, spinning without a needle. Faded denim and a pocket full of loose change. A skateboard resting against the porch rail, watching the neighbors turn the porch lights on. The smell of charcoal burning a few houses down. Quiet streets breathing under a purple sky. No rush to catch the next train out of town. The world is turning at a lower speed. Let the melody fill the empty spaces. Hold on to the feeling of being still. Golden hours drifting into indigo. Yesterday is leaning on my shoulder. Nothing to chase and nowhere to arrive. The air tastes like summer rain and dust. Simple chords moving through the open window. Everything is exactly where it belongs. crates in a basement glow. Cardboard sleeves with the edges peeling. Watching shadows move slow and low. Coffee stains on a grainy picture. Window open to a human street. The clock is ticking a steady measure to the shuffle of some tired feet.
Found a tape in a wooden drawer, handwritten ink that had started to fade. The ghost of a feeling I felt before in the quiet of a summer shade. No one is calling the rotary phone. The air is heavy with a golden haze. Just the feeling of being alone and the comfort of these distant days.
Take me back to the velvet lounge where the memories weigh nothing at all. Lost in the way the colors are found when the evening begins to crawl. Let the melody drift through the cracks, sinking deep in the fabric of time, leaving only the smoothest tracks in a world that refuses to rhyme. Frequency shifts like a turning tide between the signal and the open space. Nowhere to run and nowhere to hide from the look on a forgotten face. The hum of the city is miles away, reduced to a soft and steady drum. Nothing said for us to say that hasn't already been known.
Streetlights flicker in a hazy sequence. Blue light bleeding through the window blind. The past is a series of broken frequent images spinning inside the line.
Put the needle back on the groove. Let the scratch define the mood. We don't really have to move in the solitude we have pursued. Ice is melting in a heavy glass. The fan is spinning a lazy ring. Watching the hours and minutes pass without needing a single thing. The tape is reaching the very end. The hiss of air where the music was. A message that I forgot to send, just because it always does. Take me back to the velvet lounge where the memories weigh nothing at all. Lost in the way the colors are sound when the evening begins to crawl. Let the melody drift through the cracks, sinking deep in the fabric of time, leaving only the smoothest drops in a world that refuses time. Gray sky hangs heavy above the street, while ink stains the pages spread across my desk. Small droplets tap against the window pane as shadows lengthen in the corners of this room. One steady hum of static fills the air, ignoring every ticking hand upon the clock. The tea has long since turned to ice, but there is clarity within this solitude. Falling water washes out the noise, leaving only weightless thoughts to drift. Slow patterns forming in the mind, a quiet focus gathered in a cool damp day. Let the storm provide the only pulse until the morning light begins to show. Everything outside is far away, safe inside this circle of the rain. The yellow light glows soft against the wall. Pencil shavings scatter like a tiny wood. Equations line the paper row by row. Each answer hidden in the mist beyond the glass. I feel the stillness settling in my bones, a calm that only comes when clouds turn dark. No rush to find a place to outside is far away, safe inside this circle of the rain. The world is sleeping under layers of the mist. Traffic lights are blurring in the street below, but here the clarity remains so sharp. A secret sanctuary built of foreign drops. No distractions left to pull my eyes away. Just the cold wind singing through the narrow cracks. Falling water washes out the noise, leaving only weightless thoughts to drift. Slow patterns forming in the mind, a quiet focus gathered in the cool damp air. Let the storm provide the only pulse until the morning light begins to show. Everything outside is far away, safe inside this circle of the road. Falling water washes out the noise, leaving only weightless thoughts to drift. Slow patterns forming in the mind, the quiet focus gathered in the cool damp air. Let the storm provide the only pulse until the morning light begins to show. Everything outside is far away. The radiator hums a dusty tune, static crackled in the corner of the room. Loose leaf paper scattered on the floor. I don't look at the clock much anymore. Coffee rings stain the wooden desk. Faded ink puts my wandering mind to test. Shadows stretch across the peeling paint. The afternoon air is feeling rather faint. Moving slow through the golden haze, lost inside this quiet maze. Everything is blurry at the edge, walking on a mental ledge. Take it back to the way it felt before the wax began to melt. Simple chords on a cassette deck, checking boxes off a list of things to check. Floating high above the street below, nowhere else I really need to go. Pencil lead snapping beneath my thumb. My fingertips are getting kind of numb. Staring out at the brick and the wire, fueling up a small internal fire. Old sneakers kicking at the chair, I can smell the summer in the air. Half-read books piled up in a stack, no desire to ever turn back. Moving slow through the golden haze, lost inside this quiet maze. Everything is blurry at the edge, walking on a mental ledge. Take it back to the way it felt before the wax began to melt. Simple chords on a cassette deck, checking boxes off a list of links to check. Floating high above the street below, nowhere else I really need to go. Boxes off a list of things to check. Floating high above the street below, nowhere else I really need to go. dusty tune. Static crackles on the afternoon. Old ink staining up the wooden desk. Coffee circles looking picturesque. I flip the page and let the graphite slide. Nowhere left for restless thoughts to hide. The cassette tape drags a little slow, winding back to places that I know. Golden shadows stretch across the floor. I don't need to wander anymore. Heavy eyelids tracking every line, taking all the hours left of mine. Soft focus on a distant hill. Everything is perfectly still. Maybe there is logic in the haze, lost inside a paper-covered maze, counting every heartbeat in the room, watching how the twilight starts to bloom. Rain is tapping on the window pane, washing out the worry and the strain. Pencil shading scary like the snow, steady pulses making colors glow. Yellow lamplight softens every edge, pigeon resting on the stony ledge. Open windows breathe a cooler draft, filling up the empty spaces left. The world outside is moving far away, beyond the borders of the fading day. Silence is the only sound I need, planting every single quiet seed. Golden shadows stretch across the floor. I don't need to wonder anymore. Happy eyelids tracking every line, faking all the hours left of mine. Soft focus on the distant hill. Everything is perfectly still. The radiator hums a dusty tune, static crackling in this afternoon. Golden sunlight hits the cassette deck, tracing lines around a coffee spec. Faded Polaroids of places never seen, resting on a screen of flickering green. Pen scratching patterns on the page, safe inside this quiet paper cage. Slow motion drifting through the haze, counting hours in a gentle daze. No need to rush the ticking clock, just a steady swing of a mental lock, falling deep into velvet sound, where the lost and found are finally down, 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 down. Rain begins to tap against the glass, watching all the hurried shadows pass. Cardigan heavy on my frame, calling every blurry thought by name. Books of polished towers in the hall, waiting for the evening light to fall. 90 minutes on a spinning spool, keeping every heated feeling cool. The air is thick with memories unborn, edges of the textbook slightly torn. Somewhere in the hiss of melody finds a way to set the heavy spirit free. Slow motion drifting through the haze, counting hours in a gentle daze. No need to rush the ticking clock, just a steady swing of a mental lock, falling deep into the velvet sound, where the lost and found are finally bound. Slow motion drifting through the haze, counting hours in a gentle daze. No need to rush the
just a steady squeak of a mental law.
Falling deep into the bit sound, where the lost and out are finally found.
Sky turns a heavy shade of slate, dropping pearls upon the window pane. I pull my chair up to the wooden desk to watch the street dissolve in silver rain. The ink is flowing from a tired pen, tracing circles on a paper sea. Everything outside is moving fast, but time is standing still inside with me. A steady hum resides within the walls. The ghetto whistle soft across the hall. I flip the page and let the chapters turn, while even shadows climb along the wall. The dusty lamplight casts a golden glow over open maps and yellowed lines. I find the answers in a quiet space beneath the rhythm of the weeping pine. Let the water wash the noise away, falling softly on the tired road, searching for the truth in every word, hidden in the patterns of the proof. Slowly moving through the heavy mist as the world begins to fade from sight, holding on to what the pages say. Amid gentle pulse of stormy light. The clock is ticking, but I do not count the moments measured by the falling drops. The mind is traveling to distant lands before the pouring ever thinks to stop. 1,000 questions waiting for the sun, but for now the cool air feels so deep, wrapped in layers of a velvet gray, while the rest of time prepares for sleep. The coffee cup is long ago grown cold, but the focus lingers like a ghost. I am drifting through a sea of thought, close to finding what I need the most. The glass is streaked with tiny winding paths leading down to where the garden grows. I am sinking into every verse that the steady autumn weather knows. Let the water wash the noise away, falling softly on the tired roof, searching for the truth in every word, hidden in the patterns of the crew. Slowly moving through the heavy mist as the world begins to fade from sight, holding on to what the pages say. In the